What if your movement, the way you move, is shaping everything about you, your thoughts, your feelings, your relationship, even your sense of self? What if chronic pain, anxiety, and creative blocks weren't problems to fix, but instead patterns to explore and shift through the process of learning? Welcome to This Sensational Life, a podcast where we explore how the art and science of embodiment can help you live a richer, more powerful life. I'm Tamara Drossart, and today we're diving into one of the most powerful embodiment practices I know, one that changed everything for me: the Feldenkrais Method. This method is not a workout, not a stretch routine, not a quick fix, but instead it's a radically different way of learning, moving, sensing, and becoming more you. In this episode, we'll explore what the Feldenkrais Method actually is, how it works, it's not what you think, how it's different from physical therapy and meditation, and why it's one of the most powerful tools I've ever found for healing, creativity, and cultivating personal freedom. Whether you're dealing with pain, burnout, tension, or rigidity, or simply want to move and live life with more ease and calm, this episode is for you. First, let's explore the question, what is the Feldenkrais Method? Moshe Feldenkrais would say, all action is movement. And to improve all action, improve movement. This method was created by this man, Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais. He was an engineer, physicist, judo master, a lifelong learner, and overall just a very curious person. So he created this method of somatic learning. It's basically a self-improvement method, a way to improve how you move, think, and feel, and act in the world by learning new patterns through your own awareness. And the biggest tool for learning this awareness is movement, because Moshe Feldenkrais thought like a mathematician or like a scientist. He postulated that movement was one of the best ways to improve ourselves, not only because of this very simple equation that all action in life is movement, so therefore improve movement, improve all action, but also because he argued that a few other reasons why movement's one of the best ways to improve yourself is because all of our habits hinge on movement patterns. Our nervous system is largely concerned with movement. Our nervous system is really considered with this question, is it safe or is it not safe? And how do we move in response to our environment, fight, flight, or freeze, in order to survive, to stay alive? We need movement, and we evolved brains for movement. And he also argued that movement is simply an easier method for improving yourself. It's comparing how to change yourself top down through your thoughts versus bottom up from the ground up. It requires perhaps more effort to improve yourself through thinking alone. And a lot of times it's ineffective to try to change these unconscious patterns that way, because a lot of our unconscious patterns are rooted in movement and sensations. So the Feldenkrais method has two main formats of teaching or experiencing the method. The first one is through awareness through movement. And awareness through movement is simply a verbally guided lesson. It can be a group lesson or a private lesson, but you're guided through the whole experience verbally. Usually the teacher does not demonstrate any of the movements, but they guide you verbally. The second format is called functional integration. And this is a one-on-one approach. It's nonverbal, so it's a hands-on through touch. You're integrating a new pattern of movement and becoming more aware of yourself, and someone's guiding you through touch. And they're very much two sides of the same coin. In a functional integration session, you're going to be learning something similar that you would learn through awareness through movement and vice versa. And it's important to note that the Feldenkrais method is not about doing it right or finding the quote unquote right way to move. It's about noticing what you do and discovering other options. It's about this mantra of there isn't a way things should be. There's just what happens and what we do. So there isn't a way that we should move. There's just the way we currently move. And there are other options. And there's what we do. We can explore, we can learn, we can discover other options. Some of the core principles of the Feldenkrais method are number one, you're not being corrected. You're being invited to explore. Number two, you're learning through your own sensation, through comparing your two sides, through listening to your sensation, being curious, asking questions, and sensing any differences for yourself. And number three, it's not about fixing yourself. In fact, you are never a problem. You are an incredible human capable of learning. And this method is all about generating choice and learning new options. So how does the Feldenkrais method work? Moshe said, if you know what you're doing, you can do what you want. So again, this idea of cultivating personal choice, in order to have autonomy over your actions, you have to have a clear image, know exactly what you're doing while you're doing it. And there's so much we're not aware of. Every single one of us can connect with this idea like, oh, I did that and I was totally tuned out. I had no idea what I was doing. We can all connect to this idea of kind of tuning out or lacking awareness. We all have moments where, oh, I wasn't paying attention, or we do something and then later on we notice we were hurting ourselves while doing it. And we're like, what's this pain in my neck? Like, oh, I guess I must have pulled it doing this or that. And the Feldenkrais method teaches you to tune into all of these very subtle sensations and movements. And it's a process of learning new patterns of movement. And the method does this through your own awareness, and then through utilizing these other tools like novelty and a lot of variations. Your brain and nervous system really thrives on this, on exploring new things, new variations. Feldenkrais lessons use this language of incorporating awareness over your habits or your habitual way of moving versus your non-habitual movement. So what feels like you and what feels like not you. For example, the simple act of interlacing your fingers. We all have this habitual way where we interlace our fingers. And then we have the non-habitual way, which feels awkward and weird, and the habitual way, which feels calming and natural. So these discrepancies between habitual and non-habitual engage the brain's ability to rewire itself through your own experience, through the process of neuroplasticity. It's important to note that simply observing a movement changes how you do it. The simple act of awareness is in itself transformational. I think there's even a scientific principle. It's like you can't observe something without changing it. Just, the simple act of observing shifts it, changes it in some way. Feldenkrais also uses slow, gentle variations, this idea of going slower and slower and using less and less effort to increase your sensitivity and make more refined choices around your movement habits. So this really refined sense of effort and slowness helps you really interrupt maybe these automatic or compulsive habits that you have and create new neural pathways, new choices, new neural connections. Feldenkrais is really all about this idea of work smarter, not harder. And we use curiosity and this sense of ease, finding pleasure and ease as we move, as tools for change and transformations, not using brute force. With the Feldenkrais method, you learn how to reduce what's called parasitic effort. So parasitic effort is pretty much any effort that's unnecessary for the task at hand. And every single one of us builds up patterns of muscular emotional tension over the course of our lives, through our life experiences. And it's this unconscious strain or extra effort that you add to movement. So, for example, squeezing your eyes or holding your jaw tight, or like having a little bit of tension in your hands or in your chest or your pelvic floor. This might be a pattern that we have, a pattern of holding extra effort when we really don't need to. Another thing that you learn with the Feldenkrais method is how to use your skeletal support instead of muscular effort. So our muscles organize themselves around our skeleton. And if we have more awareness around this whole skeleton we have, and we know how to use our bones or our skeleton to move more efficiently through space, we can put less stress on our muscles. You learn how to embody the most effortless kind of movement. So it's really about learning how to move smarter, softer, and with a clear image of what you're doing while you're doing it. Which leads us to this question of why do it? What changes for you with the Feldenkrais method? Most people start this method with the idea that either it'll help them reduce pain, improve their posture, or if you're a performing artist or you're in sports, it could help you improve your singing or your running or any kind of movement. And for me, dancing. But what some people discover is something a lot deeper. If you practice the method enough regularly, you receive these benefits, such as more clarity, a clearer mind, a more powerful sense of presence throughout your day, this idea of choice, being able to change your habits a lot more easily. The method is based on really knowing yourself intimately through the sensation of movement within yourself. So you develop this strong sense of self-awareness, self-knowledge, and then you trust and love yourself more because you know yourself. And this method really results in changing what's called the how. So not changing what you do, but it's changing how you do it. For me, I saw changes in these unexpected things that I do, like even the simple act of driving. I was able to find more pleasure, ease, and lightness in the act of driving. And I noticed all of these compulsive habits I had before when I was driving. I would like maybe speed a little bit, or my posture wasn't really great when I was driving. I was like yanking my neck around to look at things. And now when I'm driving, I can sense my spine is long and light and my ribs are kind of floating over my pelvis, and I know how to breathe and move easily when I drive. So I'm a much more calm and focused and collected driver. A couple more unexpected benefits of the Feldenkrais method is, personally, I did it to reduce pain. I had chronic lower back and neck pain, and then it went away, but I continued to do the method because of these mental health benefits, being calm, clear-minded, and focused, and these other emotional issues like sometimes feeling depressed or feeling easily anxious kind of melted away. So it improves your mental health because your mental and your physical health are really never separate. Another unexpected benefit is you might come in just wanting to feel better, and you walk away feeling more yourself and bringing more of your authentic self to everything you do in life. It's just easier to express yourself and be yourself because you know yourself in this very intimate way through movement. So, in summary, the benefits that the Feldenkrais method gives you are: 1, relief from pain and stiffness; 2, access to really deep rest, finding calm; 3, a sense of fluidity, creativity, and deeper confidence; 4, not only a calmer nervous system, but a more resilient nervous system. So you're able to recover from stress more easily. And number 5 is a richer, kinder, more gentle relationship with yourself. A lot of people say after doing a Feldenkrais lesson, they say, I feel taller, I feel lighter, or I wasn't aware of how much I was holding on to until I learned how to let go. I felt more like myself again, coming home to yourself. As Moshe said, whatever you do, you will do it better. In order to get to know the Feldenkrais method, let's explore how is Feldenkrais different from physical therapy and how is it different from meditation. So first of all, physical therapy often focuses on treating everything kind of like an isolated issue. For example, it'll focus on isolating specific muscle groups and building strength through repetition. And mostly everything is seen as a strength issue. Conversely, the Feldenkrais method looks at how you're moving, the whole pattern of movement, not just one part of the movement in the chain. And another key difference is physical therapy mostly focuses on your muscular system and treating your muscular system as separate from all of the other systems, whereas the Feldenkrais method is a lot more holistic. It includes not only the function of the muscles, but it includes both the nervous system and your skeletal system. It incorporates awareness and use of your skeletal system, and then also how movement is connected to your nervous system, and how in the Feldenkrais method, there's a lot of deep rest. A key principle of learning is your nervous system is at ease. So you're able to learn these patterns more easily. So most lessons are done lying flat on your back on the floor, doing small, gentle, slow, mindful movements that are very, very calming for your nervous system. It's important to note that physical therapy has a different relationship structure. It uses a doctor-patient model. So I'm a doctor and I'm treating you, healing you as the patient, compared to Feldenkrais, which is a teacher-student relationship. It's focused on this process of learning and improving and expanding your capacity. And being a student is a much more empowering position than being a patient or being treated for something. Physical therapy would say, do this exercise to strengthen your back. And the Feldenkrais method instead asks this question: how are you moving? How are you organizing your movement within yourself? And what else is possible for you? It asks, how can you improve your entire functioning? instead of how can I fix this problem of pain you have? This general question of how can we improve your functioning? And there really is no limit to improvement, and we all have a different level of functioning available to us, but we can all improve through this process of learning. So, how is Feldenkrais method different from meditation? Meditation is really this process of observing without judgment. That's what meditation is. It's usually passive. So, you observe thoughts and sensations and you practice letting them go. And the Feldenkrais method is an active exploration, and it is, as I said before, a process of learning. So, learning to move in new ways through your own awareness and through the structure of a guided lesson. So, in a Feldenkrais lesson, you go through the same first step as meditation, which is just noticing without judgment, but then you go through these other steps of sensing differences within yourself and exploring new options. So it's less passive, like meditation, you're just watching your own experience. And Feldenkrais is you are actively reshaping your own experience from within. And you're really becoming both the observer and the scientist. You're actively running different experiments with yourself, like, oh, how does this feel? How does that feel? What if I do this? Yeah, just answering curious questions. And it is actually somewhat similar to a process of, therapy around your thoughts and emotions, where a therapist will ask you questions about how you think and feel. It's like Feldenkrais practitioner will apply a similar set of questions to reflecting on how you move. And these set of questions and movement prompts usually lead to some kind of epiphany. You put together a sequence or a pattern, several other movements, and it all comes together, and you learn how to integrate this new pattern of movement that makes your life easier and more pleasurable. All about learning the easy option and learning the smart option. Let's try a small experiment right now. So we'll experience kind of the difference between meditation and Feldenkrais. So simply wherever you are, in sitting, standing, or laying down, become aware of your breathing, your breath. Notice the points at which your breath is coming, your inhale, and the point at which it's going, your exhale. Is your inhale longer than your exhale, or shorter, or perhaps the same length of time? How do you find it? And let's explore this movement of gently compressing your belly and expanding your chest. And as you make this movement, notice, kind of scan yourself for any extra effort as you compress your belly and expand your chest. How can you make this movement easier or more pleasurable, reducing your speed and reducing your effort to sense more detail, more refined differences in your sensation? Perhaps pause and allow yourself to breathe more. And notice how this movement of very gently compressing your belly affects the shape of your spine. Notice, does your lower back expand or get longer. And just make this movement of gently contracting your abdomen, and notice what happens in your chest. Softening your face, letting go of any extra effort in your eyes or your jaw, gently contracting your abdomen. Good, and rest for a moment. Notice if anything changed in your sense of breath from that very simple movement. Now make the opposite movement of gently protruding your belly, making more space in your lower abdomen. And as you protrude your lower abdomen, you might notice a subtle sensation of kind of compression in your chest. How does the movement of protruding your lower belly, how does it change the shape of your spine? And as you protrude your lower abdomen, is it kind of protruding equally on all sides? The front, back, and sides of your pelvis. How do you find it? Do you also sense some expansion in your lower back? Good. And rest. Now, gradually explore these two movements are alternating back and forth, very gently contracting your belly, allowing your chest to ever so gently expand, and then very gradually protruding your belly. And as you make this movement, kind of sense where the middle of the movement is, where you switch from contracting to expanding. Sensing your breathing. Noticing how this movement affects other places in you. Noticing if there's a pattern of breath that happens with your movement. And rest for a moment. Notice if this tiny experiment shifted anything about your breathing or your state of mind. I can share that for me, I feel already more calm, more grounded, a little more clarity in my thoughts. My breathing got quite a bit deeper. In conclusion, the Feldenkrais method is all about cultivating freedom, and freedom comes from this idea of choice. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that working harder and stronger is always better, that we need to push and strive and perform to achieve. However, over time, this option of working harder and stronger becomes kind of our default, or the only way we know how to do things. And without options, there is no choice. And without choice, there is no freedom. So the Feldenkrais method helps us grow these options. In particular, we learn the easy way, how to work easy, and the intelligent way, how to work smarter, softer, and more sustainable. With this method, we learn freedom to move through life with this choice of less effort, or embodying effortlessness, the freedom to choose a new response or a new way of doing things, and the freedom to feel more fully yourself and more powerfully aware, more powerfully alive, instead of staying stuck in stress or burnout. We develop these tools to slow down, let go, and really restore ourselves. If you're curious what this feels like, I invite you to try it. There is a free Feldenkrais awareness through movement lesson already uploaded. This is called the self-hug movement lesson. I'll put it in the show notes. And also, if you loved today's episode and want to go even deeper, I invite you to come join me inside the Embodiment Explorers Club. This is my live community where we explore the Feldenkrais method together every week. Every month we have a different theme, and we have real-time classes and an on-demand library to support your journey of learning. I'll put the link in the show notes. And let's keep learning, moving, and growing together. This is This Sensational Life. I'm your host, Tamara Drossart. Until next time, stay curious.